An Omaha man accused in a local sex trafficking investigation now faces a new charge in federal court.
First Alert 6 Andrew Pfeiffer was at the hearing this afternoon. So Andrew, this is connected to another investigation we followed for months.
Jacqueline Bryan, Stephen Harper has been on the Nebraska Sex Offender Registry for a few years now. He was already awaiting trial in Douglas County on keeping a place of prostitution and pandering. Our cameras were there as Harper appeared in district court last year. Today he pled not guilty to one count of possession of child pornography. This stems from an ongoing trafficking investigation that began in October, which has led to the arrest of 5 other suspects. That includes former city accountant Amy Hicks, who pled guilty in May and is set for sentencing next week. Douglas Johnson is also scheduled for sentencing that same day for pandering. Project Harmony works directly with children impacted by cases like this. They gave us signs and warnings to look for.
So oftentimes in our community, we see missing juveniles or juveniles we consider high risk. We see them having to, or being forced or being exploited into a sexual act for their basic needs being met. So I think when people hear sex trafficking, they might think of the traditional, this juvenile is having sex for money and someone's holding that money or benefiting from it. But oftentimes these juveniles are having sex to get their basic needs met, and that's still juvenile sex trafficking.
Harper is scheduled to be back in Douglas County Court a week from today. The federal judge has ordered that if Harper is released in his state case, he will still remain in federal custody. Reporting live in the studio, Andrew Pfeiffer, First Alert 6.
Andrew, thanks. New at 6, a First Alert